Another nice pool, and this is where we stress conservation again. This area here used to be white, and now people with muddy clothes and have climbed up to the pool to look into the pool and have put a lot of mud in that area. That picture is about half the actual size there. Now then, when the water's coming down a little slope, it may be going slow enough that it builds up rimstone dams. And as the water goes over the dam, it evaporates a little, leaving another little layer behind. These things right here are probably about, half-inch tall, what you're looking at there. And they're about the thickness of a sheet of newspaper. Very delicate. The next picture will show you where they're at. They're down on this slope in this area. Again, we're looking here at about 6 feet of height. Another formation is called helegtites. Matchbook for scale. So you can see it's about double the actual size. Helegtites are formed from internal pressure, forcing the mineral out, the calcium carbonate, and they grow out in all directions. Here they are coming out of the wall, crystal clear. And that picture there is probably 3 times the actual size. Here they are coming out of the floor. The back ones are about 6 inches tall. It's one of the pictures I'm proud of. I'm a member of the National Speleological Society. And the one year I entered 3 photos in the scientific division. And there's a fellow in Kansas City, always got first, second, and third. He was a cave biologist, so he was out there taking pictures all the time. Well, I decided I'm going to try it, so I entered, and after that I chickened out not to do it again. I got first and third that year. So I beat him out, and I said, well, I'm not going to try this again. But that's the first place winner in the National Photo Salon. You'll later see the third place, which I think they ought to have been reversed. Another one shows small formations, some soda straws, a little helegtite off to the side, just a combination, a little bit of everything. We stress conservation, don't go in there and hurt yourself and bleed all over the formations. We never could figure out what this was. It's on the ceiling, and it's right near the entrance. We surveyed up to the top and never did find anything up there that would cause it. It's a recent thing. It's a coating. This is called, popcorn, or it's like a coral. And it was always believed, this is in Nevada, so that was a silver dollar for scale. It was always believed that's formed underwater. And years ago already said, no, it isn't. There's a little bit of that mineral left in the air, that high humidity. And it took another 25 or 30 years for it to come out. Now the scientific idea is, yes, it's being formed on the walls from the calcium carbonate that's still in the moisture in the air. Because some of that was still living and nice polish to it, and there's no water anywhere around. So that's what gave me the idea. That was just forming on the walls there. Now this looks similar, carbide lamp for scale. Now that is not popcorn, that's ice. That's in one of the lava caves. Now we've totally changed. We left the limestone cave, went to a lava cave, and they are up in the mountains, a thin crust for a roof, so the temperature gets much colder in the winter, and they have a lot of ice formations forming. And then in the summer, they're close to the surface, they warm up and the ice melts. Carbide lamp in here for scale. But some of the icicles and that in there are just crystal clear. That picture is probably close to actual size there. In a lava cave, I cannot tell you what the formation is. They're about double the actual size there, but they are quite rare. This is in the state of Washington. That's a leg formation. Been there a long time. Stalagmite growing. Some people do anything for a picture. This picture is a little larger in actual size. It's called bacon rind. You wonder where bacon rind comes from. Well, it doesn't look that much from this angle. Now let's take the flash and light it from the back side. And here's a hand for size, so you can see it's a little larger than actual size. But you light it from the back side and you can see where the name bacon rind comes from. But I still think that's the wrong name because that's too much lean in there for bacon. This is a formation down in Arkansas. It's about 8 feet in height. And the flowstone coming down actually formed crystal faces. You can see the reflection from the flash. Now that, to me, that's a closer view of it, the most beautiful formation I've ever seen. Now, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But maybe it's that 16-hour trip to go back and see it and get back out of the cave. So that's a long trip back in there. And by the time you go in there, take a few pictures, and we're heading back out, you are totally exhausted. That's physically and mentally. Because then it's a 500-foot difference in climb back up to where your campground's at. And the next day, you don't remember hiking up it. It's just 1 foot in front of the other as you go up it. But it is a beautiful formation, but it's just a long trip to see it. That is the possum, or was the possum. That was a soda straw. So this picture here, it should be about that long. But somebody decided to take the possum along, and that's why we stress conservation. Yep, that one has been broken off and somebody took it. And if we could find out who done it, this is probably what's going to happen to them. Yeah, it disappeared several years ago. Venus de Milo, that's about half the actual size. And as I say, caves take on the average temperature of the outdoors over the whole year. So in our area here, we're looking at about 58, 59 degrees. And yes, it's chilly in there because you can see the goosebumps on her legs down here. Now it's stark white. There is the calcium carbonate. We're in Lehman Caves National Monument in the state of Nevada. And straight calcium carbonate, no other mineral to give a different color, such as red that you've seen. A lot of these have iron. Iron is the one that gives the red color. Soda straws. Some are straight, some are curved. What causes the curve? The curve can be caused by air movement. If you have caves, well, number one, a cave that goes in ends, when the barometer rises out here, air forces in the cave. When that barometer falls, that air expands back out. Now then, if you have two entrances in the cave, depending on whether it's summer or in winter, this warmer air in here will rise from the lower one. The cold air comes in the lower one, and the hot, warm goes out the top. Summer it may reverse some, but there are some pretty good air currents in some of the caves, and that's due to the difference in elevation of the entrances or the barometer changing. Just an interesting picture. Carbide lamp down there for scale, so it's a little smaller in actual size there. Blanchard Springs Caverns back in Arkansas. I think that picture is pretty close to 40 feet in height in that spot. This shows the contrast of the white calcium carbonate coming out of here, where it's dripping here, has iron in it. I have no idea how these two can be so close together, and one has iron and the other one doesn't, but it occurs quite frequently. The ones in the back probably won't see this well, but up here in the front you can see here is a soda straw, and coming out of there is a root. That's a tree root. So that tree root has followed that little hole from the surface all the way down to the cave. So if you ever get in a cave, get lost, follow the tree root. He'll get you out. And as I say, the formations are formed by the dripping of water. This one, again, is very close to 40 feet. You don't see the whole thing at the top. It's kind of nicknamed the drill column, but it's so unbelievable that this water flowed at the same rate for all those years that it grew at a uniform diameter. Another nice flow stone, shows the side lighting, gives us some depth to your picture. That's about 6 feet in height. Minerals you can find, this is aragonite, quite an uncommon mineral. First one was Missouri, this one is in Utah. Gypsum, and gypsum comes in various shapes and forms underground. This radiates out in bands, and you might say keeps growing, extruding from the ceiling. Picture is probably double the actual size. Here it comes out of one central point, forming a 10-inch diameter flower. Or it can form as crystals. And this is the photo that got me third place in the contest. This one is about 10 inches in length, so that's almost double the actual size there in the picture. Gypsum coming out and flowering in two directions. Gypsum again in needle form, carbide light, and it's just like almost like a bird nest. They're called selenite, and the needles extruding from the ground or from the floor. Fossils, there are a lot of fossils in some areas because most of the caves, especially here in the Midwest, or they're all the limestone caves, which is formed at the bottom of the ocean. And here's a match out of a book of matches, but there's a fossil starfish there. But there are various types of fossils in there. So you've pretty well been through a tour now and seen a lot of it. Now we're coming back through a mud crawl. And in case you in the back hadn't noticed, the third person's back here in the back. As soon as I got through, you're soaking wet and your body, there's just steam coming off of it. And that's why the picture's foggy, because I was fogging up the passage from coming through that. And that is the most beautiful picture ever seen by any tired cave explorer right there. And that is the same entrance that you saw that we went into. There's a person standing there now.